Hello and welcome to NFL Week 1 play breakdowns. I've picked out some interesting plays from Sunday's games and we're going to break them down to see how they came about. This will be a weekly segment, so subscribe now. Let's get going. The first play is Lamar Jackson's first touchdown throw to Devin Duvernay against the New York Jets. The ball is on the left hash mark, creating a narrow side of the field to that side and a wide side of the field to the right side. The Ravens put one receiver alone outside the numbers on the narrow side. The Jets have their cornerbacks in a press man alignment with one safety deep. On the wide side of the field, the Ravens have 4 eligible receivers, but nobody outside the numbers. This is a key detail. The group of 3 receivers tight to the formation on that side force the cornerbacks to step back. But the Jets still make an aggressive alignment by keeping their cornerbacks up as far as they can. If they get any closer, they'll be too easily picked off and pick plays at the line of scrimmage, exposing themselves to being taken out of the play. The Ravens formation is trying to force the single high safety onto the same hash mark as the ball. It doesn't work. The deep safety is on the other hash. But the triple bunch release will still have its desired effect with a little bit of help from Jackson after the snap. As soon as the ball is snapped, Jackson looks to the safety to hold him in position. He only needs the defender to hold his position for a split second. The receiver's routes do the rest of the work once they've advanced far enough downfield. Had the safety drifted outside instantly, he could have covered the wider routes outside. But him being held for a split second inside keeps him in position to cover the 2 inside vertical releases. He stays occupied with them until planting his foot in the ground to go outside. When he plants his foot to go to the outside, it's already too late for him to get there. The Ravens left the space outside for Duvernay to break into from the tight alignment. He started narrow but finishes wide outside the numbers. Jackson throws a good ball, but it's not perfect. Duvernay can't reach in front of his face to catch the ball away from the defender. He has to smartly slow up just before the ball arrives. This puts his body into the defender and allows him to guide the ball into safety over his inside shoulder. From the end zone angle, we can see Jackson's eyes work the safety on the inside. His body posture shapes late to throw the ball to the outside instead of snapping to it instantly after catching the ball. The ball isn't thrown perfectly, in part because of the pressure that arrives as Jackson is releasing the ball. He has front-facing pressure, and his back leg is taken out by his left tackle being pushed back into his body. Pressure in the pocket was a factor on Duvernay's second touchdown too. That was also a notable play from yesterday's games. Ronnie Stanley didn't play for the Ravens yesterday. He's an all-pro left tackle and an outstanding pass blocker when he's available. So whenever the left tackle was isolated, pressure was inevitable. The Ravens used the same formation on this play. You'll notice straight away that means the left tackle has no running back or tight end help. He's going to be isolated again. The Ravens instead used their full set of eligible receivers to pull the coverage apart. 3 of the receivers release into underneath routes. The remaining 2 create a slow developing route combination downfield that pulls the coverage apart. But slow developing means time consuming, which means Jackson has to hold the ball, which is hard to do when your left tackle is going to give up pressure. When we zoom into the pocket, we can see even at this early stage in the play, there are 3 pass rushers winning their matchups. 2 of them on the interior have already penetrated the pocket, while the left tackle is rapidly moving towards Jackson's backside. Jackson feels the pressure and recognises the collapsing pocket. He times his movement perfectly to negate it, while maintaining a passing posture to deliver the ball with good mechanics and keep his eyes downfield. So what was the slow developing route combination downfield that Jackson was waiting for? Mark Andrews is the middle receiver in the triple group at the start of the play. He releases vertically and sits down in the middle. He's between the linebackers and the deep safety, but because the linebackers are drawn to the underneath crossing routes, they're not a factor in covering him. This forces the deep safety to come forward quickly and sprint to try and cover Andrews. Andrews is the Ravens' primary target. The Jets would always be alert to him as a threat. Jackson keeps his eyes on the tight end throughout the whole play, encouraging that safety to avoid his space on the side of the field. But he can also see Duvernay running a deep crossing route into the end zone in behind. The route combinations create a straight race between Duvernay and the opposite safety. That's an easy win for Duvernay. He's not the most technical of receivers, but he is very quick. Jackson lays the ball out into space, and he can make this throw without looking directly at the receiver because of the space that's there. Jackson's shape as he releases the ball suggests he's throwing to Andrews. It's not until the ball goes to Duvernay that the safety realize he had been targeted and manipulated. But we're not just looking at passing plays today. This 50-yard run from DeAndre Swift was not only one of the biggest plays of the week, it was probably the most cleanly executed play of the week as well. The Lions use a balanced personnel package with a tight end and 3 receivers on the field. But the tight end is next to the left tackle and the slot receiver is tight to the tight end. This makes it more likely that it's going to be a run package. It's not a heavy package, but it's more like a heavy package than you would expect with 3 wide receivers on the field. The Lions are going to run right behind that tight end and wide receiver on the left side. The tight end won't be the lead blocker. In fact, the key block will actually be made by Amon-Ra St. Brown at the end of the play. He's going to account for the safety who drops into the box, who is the extra man in the defense. To reach that stage, Swift will rely on his offensive line trap blocking the Eagles' defensive line. Firstly, the aforementioned tight end TJ Hockenson is highlighted in yellow. He will work laterally inside to take out the right side defensive tackle. The offense's left tackle, highlighted in green, will kick outside to seal off the defensive end. In red, the left guard pulls across the formation behind his centre to cut off the left side defensive tackle. His centre, meanwhile, is advancing forward to take out a linebacker on the second level. The orange right guard kicks outside to take away the other defensive end, and the blue right tackle mirrors the centre by advancing forward to account for a linebacker. When you move the play forward a beat in slow motion, you can see that every single defender in shot for the Eagles is being blocked by someone they didn't expect to be blocked by. Even the linebackers on the second level wouldn't have expected the centre and right tackle to come forward cleanly without helping on the defensive lineman first. Swift takes the ball off left and is met in the hole by the cornerback. Cornerbacks are the worst tacklers on the field, so this is the exact scenario the Lions were seeking. They target cornerbacks in the running game. Swift has a lot of space to work in as well, so he can beat the defender at speed before continuing downfield along the sideline. Since the Eagles have aggressive defensive linemen who attack space upfield when it appears in front of them, this is a great play design to use to spring a big play. The only disappointment for Swift is that he couldn't push the play all the way to the end zone. Let's stay in the NFC East, where Carson Wentz actually made a really good play in Week 1 by hooking up with Terry McLaurin. This play captures how football is a complicated sport, but success can often be achieved in very simple ways. Washington are playing aggressively in the fourth quarter. They're chasing the game and they need a touchdown, so they go for all vertical releases. They're targeting the deep safeties and hoping to isolate their outside shot plays against the cornerbacks. Wentz takes a deep drop back to give his receivers time before using a very aggressive pump fake to move the safety at the top of the screen towards the seam route inside. That leaves McLaurin alone isolated outside. When we switch angles, we can see the impact of the movement. McLaurin is with the cornerback and it's a straight race. It's not even a straight race really because the cornerback has to turn whereas McLaurin doesn't. McLaurin is already the faster player, so the cornerback has no chance of sticking with him in the coverage. While Wentz is an infamously inconsistent and unreliable quarterback, this type of deep throw is one he does well. The ball carries a high arc and drops into space ahead of McLaurin for him to continue into the end zone. Another touchdown that was far too easy came in the Bengals-Steelers game. JaMarr Chase is a superstar. He's probably the best non-quarterback in the NFL right now. Giving up plays and touchdowns to Chase is inevitable, but that doesn't mean you should justify giving up easy plays to him. Chase is the only offensive player that matters here. He's isolated on the narrow side of the field with a running back to his side in the backfield. The Steelers have 3 defenders to his side in coverage with a 4th in a position that he could work across to impact that play there too. Yet as this play develops, we'll see all of these defenders just fall into a lull and watch Joe Burrow in the backfield as if they are fans in the stands. Even that isn't the biggest problem though. The biggest problem is the cornerback outside not playing outside technique. He has more than one defender inside to leverage his coverage off of. Instead, he plays Chase square, and Chase just turns to the outside so he's wide open. The cornerback isn't going to keep up with Chase. He's too quick, he's too precise, and he's just too good. The only explanation here could be fatigue. This is the game-tying touchdown at the very end of the fourth quarter. Maybe the Steelers' defense had been on the field for too long or they'd played too much, but there's a lack of concentration and poor execution here. There was very little lack of concentration and poor execution in the Chiefs' offense in Week 1. And Andy Reid has added a new wrinkle. It's a yearly tradition at this point. Reid implements something that nobody else across the league is doing. This time, it's a variation on an old favourite, the underhand misdirection screen pass to his tight end. Running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire is now the benefactor. Edwards-Helaire initially lines up as a wide receiver before motioning into an up back position before the snap. Speedster McCole Hardman is in the actual running back position. The defence is now alert to both players. His 4 eligible receivers to the right side are tight together in a line. Mahomes is going to execute 2 play fakes at once, using all 4 receivers to do so. Edwards-Helaire turns inside to fake a handoff going across the formation behind his centre. The backside defender sees this and is drawn to it. On the front side, everyone is watching the other 3 receivers who are widening. Hardman draws the most attention, pulling the defenders over the middle way out of position. When the play freezes, we can see the backside defender chasing around the edge. He knows Edwards-Helaire was just a decoy because he saw the play action. Meanwhile, the running back is turning back to the outside so he's in the space vacated by the second level defenders. The play fakes went across the formation and wide to the right. The play itself actually went off right tackle, where nobody was waiting because nobody saw it coming. It's perfect, but it's also just typical of Andy Reid at this stage. He always has something up his sleeve. Edwards-Helaire's second touchdown was also a product of great play design, though this time in a more traditional fashion. He lines up at the top of the screen on the narrow side of the field. The defender responsible for him in man coverage is on that side too. The trio of Chiefs receivers are all breaking inside from their tight starting point on the wide side of the field. This is to purposely create traffic for the defender chasing Edwards-Helaire. He loses time evading the first receiver, then is taken out by the second receiver's route as he collides with his teammate. Mahomes and Edwards-Helaire have it easy then. It's a simple throw and a simple catch for a simple touchdown. Justin Herbert brings us our final play this week, and it's a reminder that he's a special quarterback. It appears to be an RPO where the front side blocking linemen fail so they don't travel upfield. On RPOs, the ball has to come out quick so the routes on the backside are short, quick hitters. If they go too long, the run blockers on the front side will go too far upfield and it will be a penalty. But since they fall over, they don't go upfield this time. Herbert looks for Keenan Allen's curl route first. He's locked up. Then it's tight end Gerald Everett in the flat. He's also covered. The ball has to go somewhere at this point and throwing it away seems most likely, but Herbert sticks with Everett as he turns up the sideline. He sees the defender in perfect position, but he also sees him looking at Everett. Everett is looking back at the ball. Herbert knows he can use this to throw his receiver open with a pinpoint back shoulder throw. The intelligence here is off the charts, and so is the throw itself, because Herbert has to work hard to just square his shoulders to his receiver as he moves left and releases the ball down the left sideline. The Chargers quarterback has normalized the spectacular during his career so far, and if week 1 is anything to go by, he'll continue to do that this season too. So that's it for the first Sunday of the NFL season. Please like the video and subscribe to the page if you enjoyed it. I'll be back this week with an extended look at Justin Jefferson's huge game against the Green Bay Packers.